Mayor Randy Burke.
Here.
Commissioner Darren Davina.
Here.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar.
Here. Will everyone please rise as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, is there any issues with the agenda from the commissioners?
I have no changes.
Okay. All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we'll go on to regular business. First item is discussion of the art committee initiatives. Staff?
Yes, this has a lot of tenets and tentacles, I should say, tentacles to it. I hope you read the staff report. So what we're proposing here is to form either an art commission, art committee for the city that would be made up of representatives from current organizations. Monett Main Street, Chamber, Monett Artist Guild, the, I never get it right, Ozark Festival Orchestra. Did I get that right? Okay.
OFO, yeah.
Yep, and there's others actually. The spoken word is being used at the new bookstore. We've got some art displays in certain businesses. We've got interest in an art walk from one of our downtown businesses. So this would incorporate all those groups to how can we work together for murals or whatever it may be, okay? So the best model of what we're talking about here is from Raymore, Missouri, which is up by Kansas City. I'm not suggesting we do these same things, but this is what they do. So, but that's just some of the items that are there. One of the things in Monett that is very popular is music. Obviously, we have the pavilion. We're next Friday, a week from tomorrow, is the First on Front. Smoke and sound is being planned for the fall through the Chamber and Monett Main Street. We've talked about the auditorium. The Gilloys has been down here. They're very interested in our auditorium upstairs. So is the Monett Artist Guild. They'd like to do a production up there. So all of this is tied together. So any questions about an art committee first before I move on to some of these other tentacles here?
No, I tell you what, acoustically, I think the orchestra would really appreciate to go back upstairs.
I'm gonna bet not.
I don't think the acoustics are that great up
They've
there.
already told me they wouldn't play up there, but they want to be
I
a
didn't
part
know
of
that.
this. Yeah, they like where they're at. They like their home.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, but and this is not a competition of. That's why they would sit on the committee. So we want to work together. We want to make sure that we're not overlapping. We're not scheduling things at the same time.
Compete.
That is right. Yeah. So this is really, let's work together. But art forms are very significant, and even music. I mean, Great Dave's did a coffee and carols over Christmas. Matt always has artists down at the Briar House. So Tara has had a couple of readings and artists at the bookstore. So really, I think if we could form a group, and that's really what this happened. Well, then what Raymore did is connected with artists that would put their art displays on display for a certain period of time. They wouldn't give them to the city, but they would just leave them there for a while, and then they would come get them. Well, we've got Spiva in Joplin. We've got Ozark Technical College has an art department that's very interested in doing some displays. In Missouri
Some
State.
of the high school students have done some amazing works.
And that would be wonderful.
I can put you in touch with the art teacher at the high school. And she's an artist herself,
Uh-huh.
and does some work outside of school, I'll say, and I think she has had some.
That's the
exhibit
kind of
galleries.
people we want to connect
So,
with.
yeah.
Yep. Amanda Lee serves on the Economic Development Committee, and her sector is entertainment. Now, she obviously is very good with finances and other things, but because of First on Front and the influence that she has, she's the entertainment sector person. When the Gilloys came to town, Amanda, she was there. They were quite impressed with Amanda, of what she knows and all that. So this is an economic development driver, really, if you begin to expand it. I will say we've got the Freedom Silo that's getting ready to open up again, I guess. Saturday, I met two gentlemen on Harleys that just loved the Freedom Silo. They were up from Arkansas. We're going to start seeing more of that as we advertise. All that's part of this art committee. There are some costs associated that I put in this because it's all tied together. And those costs for us, for the city, would be, do we want to make the repairs to the elevator? We can't open up the upstairs without an elevator. You've got to have access, obviously. And I put the cost estimate in there. It's $25,000. $25,503. The HVAC, I've put those cost estimates in there, and there's likely one more cost estimate that's coming. So that one was $2,265, and the second one is $2,609. But all of those repairs would need to be taken care of. We're not voting today. This is just, I wanted you to have this information, and if we decide to pursue this, then we would bring it to council for a budget adjustment, and then we would have the funding source as well if we brought that to you all. The other item that can be controversial in this staff report is when you begin to grow an art district or a music district or an art walk, the first thing that, not the first thing, but one of the first things that will be asked of you is, can we have an open container? We're already being asked that about the smoke and sound. Would it be possible to do open container in a confined area so that folks could get an adult beverage, go over to the barbecue area, go to listen to the music, and they're confined in that space, instead of literally what we do now in Monett is we have cattle guards that we put around, and it's, I mean, you know, it's Monett and it's okay, but they would like to expand that. So my experience has been when we did an open container, we did have a defined perimeter. When you went to the beer garden or you went to the beer tent, you had to get a wristband, very bright, and it had to be on display all the time so that our law enforcement knew, okay, you're an open carry or open container. And then at the perimeter, which was a defined area, then you had large trash cans and nobody could take an open container past that point. So again, in our current system, this would be a special use permit that we would define that. That's what I'm thinking. And then, but all of this is tied together. We're going to hear, as we expand our art influence, folks are going to say, well, if we do an art walk and it's down Broadway, and we use the museum, we use Great Dave's, we use Co-work Collective, and we use Briar House, can we carry our alcoholic beverage from Briar House down to the museum? And that they're just gonna want to do that. So that's just information today. So any questions about any of this initiative?
Would that require us getting a licensed liquor?
No, we could,
Because we're not providing.
No.
We'll allow it.
Yeah, whoever distributes would have to have their liquor license. All we're doing is setting a,
We're
here's where you can
expanding the
go.
boundaries
Yes.
from a cattle pen.
That is correct.
And so beer and wine. nothing more than that, correct?
I've always done beer and wine and nothing else, no hard liquor.
Okay. No hard liquor.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I do have just a question. Do we actually have any special like event permits? So like we have special use permits, but we do have like a permit or an application for special events. Okay, no, just curious.
Why do we need that?
I know that in other communities, what they've done is if they have an event permitting structure, they've often included basically public alcohol consumption as part of that application process. They basically, if they already have an existing special event permit, they will modify that to basically allow for a section to
Okay, so
describe what they intend
we
to
would
do.
be adding that section.
Right, but
And we don't have one right now.
We don't have one.
The
So
closest is the casino rental, where
Yes.
it's an optional
I think so.
alcohol
Yes.
beverage, but
Yes.
it's still within the casino.
yeah.
Yes.
I was just curious if we actually had that structure in place already.
And that reminds me, Ken, because the next question is going to be, and the Gilloys actually asked us this question, if they did a concert in the second floor, can they serve alcohol up there? So we do have the casino that serves alcohol. There may be some optics here that we're serving alcohol at City Hall. That's something council's going to have to weigh through.
What about other vending? Snacks, just saying.
They want to do that. They actually had their concession sales person there, and it's pretty minimal. It's popcorn, and they rent or they bring their own popcorn machine and some other things like that.
But we would still have a defined area, and just like we do now. There would be a police presence.
That's right.
Probably a fire department presence. You do that anyway
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah, if we did the City Hall auditorium, I would say you can't take it down to the first floor. It's got to contain on the second floor.
That makes sense.
Yeah. All right, any question? Yeah,
I sent her an email with Elizabeth Walt-Smith's contact,
okay,
the
all
high
right.
school teacher.
Very good, very good.
Any other roof repair, lighting repair for this area?
Oh, there's some repairs. Actually, I think the football team is going to be up there Saturday doing some cleanup with Larry.
Good.
I think that's right. It's either this Saturday or next Saturday. Yeah, there's some minor things, but I mean, I was very impressed. The Gilloys, I mean, they looked around. They just kept saying the bones are here. The bones are here. There's not a lot of repairs or anything like that.
We fixed the chairs and stuff years and years ago, right before they built the deal. We took out one row and two there and cut down the quantity, but we repaired all the other ones out in the field, so.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually the exact same chairs as what they have in the Gilroy's up in Springfield. You know?
What I'd like to do with this is I'd like to bring a resolution in May to actually form the committee. So to move forward on
Does that include the cost for the elevator?
No.
Okay, so-
I think we need to talk about that, and I mean, I can do that if we want to move forward, but
Do you need it to move forward?
the sooner the better. I think that bid is what did he tell me, June 1, I think, on that elevator. If I remember right, I think that's what Josh said.
Well, is there any pushback from commissioners on the elevator?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll
think
bring
it's
that as
reasonable.
well.
Yeah.
Provided that space is gonna get used.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think there's demand for it, and the smoke and sound that you see up there is, they would like to use that. They'll be kind of our first event, and I think we found the guy when we were in Jeff City, Kenny Ray. Yeah, he's agreed to come down. I don't know how popular he is, but he's very talented, so he's interested to come down, and it's not gonna cost an arm and a leg. When I talked with him, he said, yeah, just let us know. He normally plays for audiences between 200 and 500, so that would be a perfect place for him. So I think we need to move forward with this, and it's an arts and cultural district. Downtown it's commensurate with that, and as Mickey already mentioned, it is commensurate with economic development. Bring people to Monett, celebrate with us.
All right, any other questions about that?
Warranty, are they gonna warranty this work, the
Yeah,
elevator?
Yeah, they always do, but I think the inspections are, those are yearly inspections, right?
Yeah, correct.
Inspections, I'll tell you, based on my experience with the museum down there, the yearly inspections are, I think, are $12,000 to $15,000 or somewhere in that range. They're pretty expensive, and that's just something that you can't get out of, so.
And, you know, all that would be contingent if we're seeing the auditorium used and it's valuable, then yes. If not, then we would just shut it down again. So-
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have about the Art Commission.
Okay, any other discussion on the art committee initiatives?
No, I have none.
All right, so we can do that on the May and include, go ahead and include the costs in there.
Okay.
Something may come up between now and then, so go ahead and do that. All right, let's go on to BLEDA, BELEDA.
Yeah, this is the Barry Lawrence Economic Development Alliance. We've been working on this since last year. We started this dialogue, actually this dialogue started right after I got here. Ken and I had a conversation about a regional economic influence, and we went to Springfield, sat down with them, Springfield Chamber of Commerce. At that time, I was new, wasn't sure it was ready. We were ready. We've made a lot of advancements since then. They've also revitalized the Ozark Regional Economic Partnership, OREP. They've brought that back into foundation and formation. It's no longer a pay-to-play organization. So this is really a time to strike while the iron is hot. There's only 3 counties that don't, in the 10 counties that don't have a partnership. That's Dade, Barry, and Lawrence. So a group of us, initially I think it was around 40 people, both federal representatives from Eric Smith's office all the way through to local municipalities gathered, talked about this idea, very much for it. They're very much supportive of it. We formed a group of 5 of us. The 4 major cities, Mount Vernon, Monett, Aurora, and Cassville, and then also Bob from Lawrence County. We came together, we formed the charter, took that back to the group, and then they wanted bylaws so to move forward. So we've now written bylaws, and we've worked with Alan Kunkel, who's the originator of OREP, some 25, 30 years ago, something like that. Alan was a professor at Missouri State for years. He serves on the executive committee with me at SimCog. So he allowed us to use his partnership agreement, and so we've tweaked it a little bit, but it's in here as well. So we're at that point now that we're ready to move forward. However, there's some questions, and I'm just going to be transparent here. A lot of the questions have centered around the transitions that are taking place in our chamber here in Monett. They wanted to make sure all that got worked out before moving forward. We did meet the day of the Scott Tech celebration, and we kind of shared that with the core group, and the core group had met prior to that, and we'd all come to that conclusion. So where we're at right now, I wanted council to have both the charter, the bylaws, and the agreement. We are going to meet on May 5th with the 2 presiding commissioners and the 4 cities. We've got a gentleman coming in to do strategic planning for us so that we will have more of a strategic plan of what we want to do and what we need to do. It was very beneficial the last OREP meeting. There was 4 of us there that are part of this organization. One of the presiding commissioners was there. The other one couldn't make it that day, but it was really insightful for him. He began to understand, okay, this is, if we really partner together, this is really what could happen for us. So that's good. I just want to give an example. There's Opportunity Zone 2.0 that is in the process right now. They've redone the boundaries and the borders.
When you say they, Are we gonna talk about this later on?
Yeah, it's on the agenda,
Yep,
but it's
yep.
the
Okay.
federal
We'll get to that
government never wants you to
discussion.
find the
Yep.
zoning.
Doug's been doing that work, but at OREP, that subject was talked about, and all the partnerships and alliances that were there overwhelmingly said, we're gonna work on that together. And so that's just an example of what we can do together, okay? So, right now, like I said, May 5th, we've got that strategic planning meeting, and then after that, we're gonna move forward. I will tell you that Aurora has assigned Carrie, their city administrator, as their representative. Mount Vernon has discussed this in their council meetings, but has not assigned anybody yet. Cassville, Richard Asbill is they've discussed it, and he is the assigned member. Berry County has discussed it and assigned Steve Blankenship as their member for this organization. And Lawrence County has discussed it, but they haven't assigned anybody yet. So, and then I would like for us to assign somebody at some point in time. So that's kind of where we're at with the Barry Lawrence. I'll have more after the May 5th strategic meeting.
So we're gonna be asked to vote on whether we wanna join this.
Yeah, whether we want to,
We agree on the bylaws through which we will go and you'll work out the details with the other city reps
yes.
on, so we'll be voting, do you expect we'll be voting on the final bylaws by which Monett, and we agree with these?
So what we'll be voting on is, do we want to participate in that participation agreement that's in your packet? And then who is our representative from Monett?
Okay,
And then, once the group solidifies, they will take a final vote on the charter and the bylaws.
okay.
So what's the process in naming the representative for Monett?
It's just who do we want to,
Right, but is there a process that we, the council, have to go through? Is that a resolution?
yeah, it'll be a resolution.
Okay.
Yes,
So
I'm
you
sorry.
need a nomination?
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring a resolution and I'm assuming here, because I've been doing the work here, that it's going to be me, but it doesn't have to
My
be.
preference would be the city administrator be the representative. Yeah, so I don't know if you need to name a name.
No, it'll be
Resolution,
city administrator,
the
yeah.
title.
Yes,
Yeah.
it'll be by title only.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
my recommendation.
Yes.
to
I
the council.
agree with that. It
Yep.
makes sense because the people who are in the know in this alliance tend to be the city administrators, and it
The
makes sense to me.
professionals. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
do we need a formal motion to?
I'll bring it
Or
at,
direction?
no, I'll bring it on the 14th.
All right, very
I
good.
just wanted you all to have time to read through the bylaws and the charter and all that.
Very
And again, this is you don't have to pay to play. There's no fees or dues or anything like that. We feel like right now, we have enough resources within our own cities. Cassville has a EDC director on their staff. We have Doug that's working and has lots of outlets for resources. We have Springfield Chamber of Commerce that is helping us with some resources. Mike has been doing some research. He's kind of our research guy and putting together our profile sheets. So we all feel like we've got some resources that we can come together and collaborate together.
Yeah. We have developed those, and now I think we're ready for an alliance.
Yep. Okay, anything else about that?
No more.
All right.
No questions? All right. Let's go on to the next item, commemorating the 250th anniversary of the United States, promoting the Freedom Silo and Freedom Park.
Yeah, there's nothing in your packet about this. I really feel like, and I'll take onus on this, we've just been behind the 8 ball on celebrating the 250th anniversary. The chamber will use Freedom and Fireworks as a big celebration. There's probably going to be a lot of people with that. But we have the opportunity to really celebrate the Freedom Silo because it's reopening. And now that you all have named Freedom Park, and we're not going to put the monument in the FEMA site. I'm so sorry. Allergies. But Doug has helped me research, and it's the triangle piece as you go east of the FEMA. We're gonna put the monument there, and what did you call it? Put it at a knife angle or what?
Yeah, what is it, a rudder instead of a paddle?
Okay, yeah. And so
Is it gonna be this big, or is it?
it's 5 foot tall.
It's 5 feet tall,
Yeah.
60 inches. So.
Yeah. And all that's being donated by the VFW, so, and it'll have the different branches of the service. And so, but that will really mark Freedom Park as including the Freedom Silo and the green space, and it all makes sense. So, and we don't have to get FEMA permission or any of that.
Yeah, and I think for the city, it's good because the plan is Flag Day, which is June
Yes.
14th. That's a Sunday, but it's kind of an opener, initial ceremony by which we can celebrate it. Then you got the 4th of July, and then I think we'll tie it into the Smoke and Sound in
Yeah.
September. So it's really it's not just one event, it's kind of an event period, bookend, and in the middle with those 3 events. So that makes it, yeah, good point.
If I may, I believe Main Street is planning to celebrate Independence Day with a car show downtown as well.
Yes, the same day as the Freedom and Fireworks.
How about the fly-ins on June 13th, right? Is there any anniversary element to that?
Not really.
It's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fly-in.
Well, that's not true. If Steve gets that Warbird to come in,
I really want the P-51, but
Yeah.
the Warbird will do.
yeah. So that's what this is about, is looking at the date of June 14th. That's what we want to discuss today, is if we use June 14th, Sunday, it's Flag Day, a 2 o'clock start time. Again, I'd like to put together a committee to begin working on this because the VFW is very interested. Still need to contact the American Legion.
I'll send you that.
Okay. Chamber, Monett Main Street, we want to get all of them involved, but,
Ken, who's your point of contact from the American Legion?
My brother.
Oh, well, okay. I would say that's a close partnership.
I volunteered.
Yeah, we'll need to tie the American Legion.
but we want to put this group together. I don't see needing permission to do this, to put a committee together that's just a one-time
Yeah, I
group.
agree.
But we want to do that pretty quickly and get them involved. We want to get Dave Dunn involved because he knows some motorcycle riders as well, so, yeah.
It's a mustache, Dave.
It's gonna be tough this late in the season with a lot of the rides planned, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay. But we'll put something together and make it a big day. I've talked to Arlen, who's done all the donations for the Freedom Silo and several other donations around town. We're going to use one of his flatbeds. He's agreed to be there. He's not real happy about it, but we're going to recognize Arlen. So I think it could be a really, really good day for us, for Monett. And that will be an opportunity for us to say America's 250 years old and we're celebrating Flag Day, and we'll put flags down Broadway and all that. So that's all I have about that, unless there's any questions.
So the ask, is there an ask? on
Not really,
day?
this is just to let you all know that we're moving forward. And again, I think, Mayor, because it's a one-time
Yeah.
committee that has a end date, I don't know that I have to,
I agree with you.
yeah. And the clock's ticking, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Do we know what the lead time is on getting that monument produced? And if you
I
said it,
don't.
I missed it.
I did not. I'm working with Brad Womack, and,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he knows about this date, but I'm hoping.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, to be honest with you, Dave is gonna do the foundation work, and the man's got a ton of stuff, and so we talked about it yesterday or the day before, if we can get it done, but we're not gonna put pressure on his team to take away from city work to do that. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So you have everything you need to get going?
I do.
All
I
right.
do.
All right, let's go on to replat of Dar A Khan minor subdivision. Go ahead.
Sure. So this is Mr. Bruce Teeter. He owns this property at 1707 North Central and 1709. He came to our office last month, I think it was March 11th, I believe, asking for a replat of the Darracon minor subdivision, specifically because he wants to build a fourth storage building on his lot, and for the purposes of lot lines and setbacks, he can only do that by moving a lot line. So this is a replat of a minor subdivision that allows him to do this. After looking through this within the Community Development Department, we have identified no issues, no zoning, no land use, no easement issues that would forbid him from doing this. And this was brought before the Planning and Zoning Commission last week on April 16th for a recommendation that the Planning and Zoning Commission approved. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
okay. Well, if you look at our ordinances on this, for someone there are lots of rules. I want to say 10 to 7, 50, at least 15, maybe 17. And he has met every one of those. Doesn't cost the city anything.
Nope.
And so we didn't see any issues with it on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Only
So-
question I would have had is it gonna be one lot or two?
It's not, the lots aren't changing, it's a moving of a lot line. So it's the replat of an existing minor subdivision.
Okay. And P and Z already approved, right?
Yeah. Okay. Is there any issues from the commissioners on this one?
No.
All right, well, let's go ahead and put it on for next city council meeting. All right, next is the draft version of the Monett Comprehensive Plan.
So I think it's the future land use map.
I'm sorry, the future land use map. Let's do it, because we got the map and then we have the written plan.
Sure.
So,
In front of you and on your screen, you actually have the draft. I want to emphasize that this is a draft of a future land use map from the comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plans includes lots of maps, but generally, as a general rule, comprehensive plans, this is one of the most important maps and also one of the most controversial. What this effectively says is that within the bounds of the comprehensive plan, which is a 20-year plan, this is what the city intends and plans for land use, both in its current existing boundaries as well as it logically within this framework of other areas around the city that could potentially become a part of it within the next 20 years. This is a map that is based on what would be considered to be the best practices in land use planning. It is a draft. It is open for comment. This will be both presented to the steering committee on April 30th and as well as the public open house on May 5th. So this is an opportunity for people to take a look at it, understand it, ask questions, and if they have any changes, to make those changes before that draft plan would be presented to the city council for approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this at this time.
I think what's important here, this does not mean we're going to try to take your land.
Right.
This means, based on the current infrastructure, expected growth, this is the best way to go.
Absolutely.
All right, for right now. Now, remember, the aim points out there are 20 years, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that can change. So we discussed this, but we need to revisit this plan because things are going to change. We're going to have hurdles we don't expect. Additionally, we will have opportunities we didn't expect. But it's actually to spend money, I see that kind of within a 5-year time frame. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, here's our aim point, but we start budgeting, putting utilities in a 5-year plan as what we assume here coalesces.
Absolutely. The other thing future land use plans tend to be controversial, but one of the things I always like to say to the public as well as to elected leadership is that comprehensive plans and land use plans are living documents. They are subject to change both before with public input, they are adopted, as well as you said, Randy, specifically whenever the comprehensive plan comes up for an update, whether that be 2 or 4 or 5 years, it's an opportunity you can revisit the map and say, the situation on the ground has changed. This map, we need to readdress this and we need to make some changes. So it's a living document. It's not something that once it's done, it's set in stone and you can't change it.
But I think, I agree with you. Things will change and we'll come back in or have this discussion. But we need to update it. No, 5 years is the longest time period based on my experience. You got to revisit it 5 years.
Absolutely.
When the committee saw this, originally SIMCOG had us expanding to the west. And so the committee spoke into that and said that's really not accurate. We feel like we're going to expand to the east. And so they've changed that, SIMCOG changed that. And then the mayor asked Kevin Sprinkle, because he knows everybody in Barry, Lawrence, and maybe Jasper and Newton County, to go ahead and contact those individuals that are outside the city limits right now. But if they see this map, they're going to ask, are you taking over my land? And so Kevin has contacted those individuals and is talking to them and then inviting them to the open house.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in eminent domain, and legally it is extremely hard to do that. One, I don't think we should do it, and 2, legally it's not worth the effort. But now the public's going to know where we think we need to expand, and I appreciate the folks on the comprehensive plan committee, because I think the process worked. Because the first plan, this didn't make sense to us. So, nice work, and you'll kind of see in the verbiage. And are you going to you're going to go through that now?
So, in other words, specifically the actual land use definitions.
It's a good read, but
Right.
this is input from that entire committee, and this has been adjusted 3 or 4 times. We started out with something, and. Got to remember, we started out with surveys. I think we got 400 or 500 surveys. So we had something to start with. The public was, and the citizens of Monett were able to participate in this process. So, what else you got? Are you going to go? We're going to go to item.
Absolutely, we can move on because they are intricately connected.
Yeah, that map is a lot to digest, and I recommend that you all take a look at that. And this is the verbiage behind it. So is there anything else on the map? And then we'll go to the...
I have nothing, but to kind of transition to the next discussion item, this is the actual draft of the Monett Comprehensive Plan. This is less than a week old. This was released to us last week. And I am in the process of still doing my review of this plan. I have noticed a few things that would be open to...
Who came up with this slide?
That is going to be SIMCOG. SIMCOG they're the ones who put together the meat, effectively, as well as the bones of this plan. So
it's well done. They kind of describe, that's the tower from the museum, the railroad town. We got a great airport. And is that a setting sun?
I don't know.
It's not important.
Yes.
But long story short, the plan is out. It has been distributed to the steering committee. I am still going through my review. I have already noticed a few things that I would like changes to. Obviously, as you can tell, it is a 147-page document, so it is rather dense. During my review process, I'm going to come up with some changes that I think I'm planning on actually presenting those to the steering committee meeting on April 30th. But as you look through this plan, I highly encourage you, if you have changes or recommendations, the steering committee meeting on April 30th would be the location to get those out in front of the steering committee.
Yeah, that's an open meeting.
It is.
I'm unable to attend that. Can I get my changes to you?
You can. You can either send them to me, or you can basically wait for the good of the order until that meeting. It's up to you, Ken. Totally up to you.
I would say go ahead and submit them.
Yep.
Yeah,
Please do.
Earlier is
Because
better.
I won't be able to attend.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you go ahead.
Yeah, please send
as
them
you
to me.
feel
Absolutely.
comfortable. Yeah.
Anybody who wouldn't be able to attend or isn't gonna be there, if they had changes, I would take those to that meeting and bring them up for consideration by the larger steering committee.
Thank you.
Understand?
So we've got 2 milestones before we approve this. One is the comprehensive plan that the committee, and then based on the hearing that we do on the 5th of May.
That's right.
So that's why this is a draft, but we want that input from both those milestones before we sign the comprehensive plan.
Absolutely.
And do we think we can do that? You may not have time. Can we do that at the May City Council meeting? That gives you about 9 days between the hearing and
For what?
approval of the comprehensive plan.
So the public, we would need to have a little bit more time to make sure that we integrate all the feedback, both from the public, the steering committee, my department, and then for SIMCOG to be able to make those changes. The difference between a draft plan and an actual plan that has an ordinance behind it, because it would need to be adopted by ordinance, will take some time to draft. Right now, just for the good of the order, we have been tracking an approval schedule of June, July.
Yeah.
So roughly
I think
mid-summer.
that's fine.
Yes.
I think that's fine. I don't have any issue with that.
What's the time and location in April 30th?
April 30th will be at the casino at 6 p.m. in the lounge.
That's the public one? That's not the public?
No.
That's not the public,
Okay,
that's for the
thanks.
steering committee. It's basically, we're calling it a pre-open house meeting. So it's an opportunity for the steering committee to get together and make obviously they are the steering committee. We want them to have an opportunity to make substantive changes before the public would have access to it, to incorporate those changes before the public sees it. So that's why the steering committee is getting another opportunity to get together before the May 5th public open house.
And Doug has done several of these, but at the May 5th meeting, you're not gonna see every little detail of this plan. You're gonna see like the maps and those kinds of things, and it's not that we're trying to hide anything, because this is now a public document. So, but at open houses, you wanna kind of stick to the high points, and that's, because you'll lose people in the weeds if you're not careful. And he's done a lot of these, so.
Okay, thanks.
All right, anything else on the comprehensive plan?
Submitting information just straight to your office, bring a plan with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As you go through it, if there's anything that sticks out at you that you have questions or comments on or want changes on, you can get those to me and I'll make sure that they're incorporated. And I anticipate that list of changes will be substantial. You want a comprehensive plan that's got a lot of edits.
Right.
Very seldom are they perfect right out of the box.
Correct. Superb.
All right. Comprehensive plan gone. Let's go to Monett Core Conservation District.
Absolutely. So this has been a conversation that has been occurring since before I came to the city of Monett. Specifically, the tiering and breaking out of our B multifamily zoning classification into different tiers. Most other communities have zoning that is broken into different tiers with different permitted and conditional uses. Obviously, we don't have conditional uses in Monett. But after significant discussion between myself and the city's planning contractor, Scott Hansen, and lots of discussion with him and the Planning and Zoning Commission, we have come up kind of with a new idea behind how to do this in a way that allows us to have both the tiering of B multifamily, but also to have it apply most effectively and for the best reason to the area that's affected most by it. So what we have done is, instead of applying a tiered approach to the entire city as a whole, we have identified an area that contains 90% of most of the city's B-zoned lots. And we have called that, I came up with the name for this, this district, which would be called the Monett Core Conservation District. It is roughly an area, I don't know if you can throw the map up there on the, it's in the actual draft legislation. Yeah. There, you just went right by it. So if you go up and if you take a look at the map, roughly this area is defined as everything to the south of Sycamore, everything to the west of 13th and Kyler, to the north of US 60, and to the east of North Eisenhower. And what this would do is it would take all of the B-zoned property within that box that you see in yellow, and it would turn the B multifamily into what we call B1. B1 zoning changes some of the lot size requirements. It changes the height restrictions on the B multifamily that can be built there, and the types of buildings and the numbers of buildings that can be built per lot. And the primary reason why this is being done, and it's in the name of the Monett Core Conservation District, is it allows the single-family character of the homes and the neighborhoods within that district to be preserved, while also allowing people who want to do what they want with their property to be able to do that simply by going to another higher trophic level of B multifamily. So all of those folks that would be in B1, they would still be able to, for instance, build a duplex, but they couldn't build more than one duplex per lot. They wouldn't be able to build a duplex on top of a duplex because now there's height restrictions. It incorporates the lot frontage requirements from the legacy lot overlay. You might recall that. So it basically incorporates into the ordinance allowing for less than 60 feet of lot frontage so that we don't have to have significant Board of Adjustment variance process. And if somebody wants to build higher density within the district, all they would need to do would be to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission and ask for a rezoning to B2 or B3. So it's a very good piece of legislation. Our planning associate, Scott Hansen, he said that this is actually so innovative, he's planning on actually bringing this to other cities. It allows us to keep some control over the high density that people are looking to build. Duplexes on top of duplexes, multi-story, high-density multifamily in single-family districts, while at the same time giving people that freedom through the Planning and Zoning Commission process and the rezoning application process.
And Doug, when we start going from B1 to B2 or even B3, which is essentially apartment buildings, the size of the lot, the requirements are increased, as do the parking requirements.
So the parking.
So we're not parking on the street.
So the parking requirements within the legislation as drafted right now is still 2 parking spaces per multifamily dwelling unit. So it's 2. There has to be some kind of accounting for at least two vehicles. 2 vehicles per multifamily dwelling unit. But obviously, when you're looking at the size of the lots, when you're talking about one principal, for instance, let's say 1 duplex, that would be 2 multifamily dwelling units. So roughly you would need to take into account 4 parking spaces for that unit. Keep in mind, some of that parking on some of these, in some of these neighborhoods could be met by street parking. So it basically, it still has some of the what I would call the regulations from our existing B zoning, but it changes other aspects of the multifamily zoning to take into account the lower density that we're trying to seek for specifically the B1 tier, if that makes sense.
So in some places it talked about parking per dwelling unit and some was parking per bedroom.
Okay.
That's off street, that's in section G. G1, paragraph 2. And it's for all other 3+ multifamily structures. So that would be a B3.
Yes.
Okay.
But so B3 would be the highest level of density. That would be the things like your actual apartment complexes.
Yeah.
That would be even above your 4 and 5-plex. That would be your multi-story apartment buildings that would apply to.
Okay. In here it talked about, I'll just bring it up so I don't misquote it. Under that same section, it says 2 spaces for a 1-bedroom unit, and then 1.5 spaces per bedroom for a 2-bedroom unit. Couldn't we just simplify that and just say 3?
Yes, we could. And I do want to emphasize, as you can see on the, this is a draft.
I got it.
The other thing is that this is going to be reviewed by Monett City Legal. So this was put together by planners like myself and Scott Hansen.
Sure.
But it will be getting a look at from Holly to ensure that it does not substantially contradict with some existing laws that we already have. But absolutely, we can make that change.
Yeah, because then item 3 in that, it goes back to being simplified by saying 1 space per bedroom for 3 or more bedrooms in a multifamily dwelling. So that's just to simplify. That's the only thing that caught my eye.
Sure.
As lots are adjoining now, where you have a continuous of the same zoning, if you have, can you zone a B1 next to a B3?
Absolutely. So
a 2 to a 3 would
the-
have to go through a tier.
So all the properties, the lots that you see in yellow will by default with the adoption of this legislation go from B to B1. So there would be no B2, B3 within the Monett Core Conservation District by default. The only way for that to occur would be those property owners would have to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission and simply make a rezoning application. So it's not saying that it won't happen, it just means that it still gives the Planning and Zoning Commission and you as a city council control over whether or not you feel in certain areas, depending on lot size, whether that's a good idea or not. It doesn't mean that somebody can't do it. It threads that needle between protection and allowance for people to do what they want with their properties.
And public opinion. There's
Exactly.
also an appeal process, and so it's not just a hard line.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I like that flexibility.
It's a, yeah, I do, I think you thread the needle pretty well here. So we're kind of conserving the characteristics of the core of Monett, and we're also allowing some freedom.
Absolutely.
And the other thing it does, it gives guidance, pretty detailed guidance, because it's a long ordinance, to the planning and zoning. And
Absolutely.
so there's a set of rules on how you handle the multifamily.
Absolutely. And also to that point, I already alluded to this. Instead of the variance process, the Board of Adjustment being used as effectively a stand-in tool to rectify these issues with lot lines, with setbacks, with lot frontages on these B multifamily projects that people want to do, it takes that out of the Board of Adjustment, which is not really the area where it should be considered, and it gives that power, it gives more of that control back to the Planning and Zoning Commission, where it really actually belongs. Planning and Zoning Commissions are the source for discussion of issues regarding land use.
Okay.
All right, so what's the next step on this?
So this was discussion only for the work session. The next step is that this will have to get reviewed by legal. There are some comments that one of the commissioners just made. There are some other edits that will need to be made to this plan. Once this legislation is in a format that is ready for adoption, it will be brought before the city council for a first reading, and then at a later date for a second reading for adoption.
Okay. There's no crisis here. We don't have to get it on
Likely
that.
June, July.
June, July. I mean, that sounds pretty good. All right. Any other question? Nice work by Mayor.
Thank you.
I think we spent like 3 meetings on this at the planning and zoning, and I think we were able to exercise a lot of the ambiguities or unclarities, and I appreciate your efforts on
Absolutely.
that.
And something of this magnitude that affects 90% of the multifamily lots in the city should have a lot of attendant discussion.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, let's go on to next item. This is going to be updated opportunity zones revision 2.0.
Sure. So actually, I don't know if Mickey, you can go to the map that's after this, the larger one. There's a second map on the next page.
Oh,
There we go.
okay.
So just to give you an update, you may have heard me discuss that there is currently a revision 2.0 going on for opportunity zones here in the United States nationwide. Just to give you a high level understanding, what opportunity zones are is they are a federally designated census tract that is based on the LMI matrix, which is low to moderate income multiplier. That matrix is used to create what are called opportunity zones, which are areas which the federal government believes to be distressed and need more economic development assistance. So the opportunity zone is a zone in which a qualified opportunity fund, which is a complicated word for an entity that would do development within the zone, to effectively make use of opportunities, and whether that be economic development tools at the federal level. There is federal and state monies, grant funding that is available for opportunity zones. Our previous opportunity zone for the last 20 years included basically all of Monett south of Cleveland Avenue. There, contrary to what I had originally expected, the census tracts are changing significantly. So the only area of what I would consider to be the core of Monett that will be in the new opportunity zone for revision 2.0 is everything to the north, effectively the BNSF railroad tracks, and south of Cleveland, and then large parts to the northwest into Lawrence County. This is an ongoing process right now. As I said, the revision is currently underway. The deadline for getting more census tracts included is May 15th. I am trying to get more census tracts included to get the old...
When you say census tract, you're talking about federal government estimates of the population in Monett, is that
Specifically,
correct?
yes, exactly. So the census tract the census tracts are actually signed by number at the federal level.
Okay.
So the census tracts that are now, there were census tracts that were included in our old opportunity zone that are now no longer included. I am working right now to try and make an appeal to get those included back into the revision 2.0.
So this is different, this
It
is
is-
shrunk from my.
It has
from
shrunk.
previous.
Yes, it has shrunk.
Okay.
It used to include,
Considerably.
yes, it used to include significant parts of southern Monett.
Correct.
So south of the railroad tracks, beyond and south of US
So
60.
it doesn't include
Correct.
Marshall Hill then?
It does not. Well,
I don't think so.
I don't believe so,
I don't think
no.
It does not.
It does not include Marshall Hill.
And it's unfortunate, so if do you have anything else? I don't want to interrupt.
I do. So I'm happy to answer your questions in just a second. So I am trying, as I said, I'm in the process of trying to make an appeal to restore those census tracts to our revision 2.0. I do want to be very honest with you. Generally, the success rate on making that case to appeal a decision to re-include a census tract is fairly difficult. So I don't necessarily know what our success is. We're going to do it. We're going to try. But typically, there has to be a very compelling reason for them to not pay attention to the matrix which removed that census tract from the LMI calculation.
Is there a rationale for, at the federal level, what rules did they use or guidance did they use to destroy?
Specifically, it's the LMI matrix. In other words, the economic conditions on the ground in that census tract have changed substantially enough that it has removed it from that low to moderate income calculation.
Okay, so it looks like this is gonna be our zone, but we're gonna try to get it back.
We're going to try to get it changed. I'm trying to be very realistic with you as a commission to understand that the chances of that there has to be a very compelling reason to justify not paying attention to their matrix. The second part of this is that there are grant opportunities that are associated with any kind of revision to the opportunity zones nationwide. So I am in the process, I have not found a project yet, but I am in the process of looking for a project in Monett within this revision framework that we could potentially apply for using the opportunity zone as it's presented right now.
So when you talk the opportunities, economic development, new roads,
Exactly,
infrastructure.
specifically economic development opportunities, infrastructure improvements, public and institutional improvements that we could potentially apply for. I'm still in the process of finding out what that would be, but the deadline for those grant opportunities is the same deadline for making modifications to the census tracts, which is May 15th. So it's about roughly 3 to 4 weeks away.
Okay, so this is time sensitive.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So what is it that the council, what do you need from the council
Nothing at this time. This was just basically for discussion. There was originally discussion, Mickey would be familiar with this. There are many other economic development alliances within the Southwest Missouri region that, because they already have an existing economic development alliance, the same kind of thing that we're trying to do with Barry Lawrence Economic Development Alliance.
Yeah.
They are, in many cases elsewhere in Southwest Missouri, working together as counties and as consortiums to come up with projects that can apply to their Revision 2.0 framework. After a meeting that Mickey and I had with City of Mount Vernon, Aurora, and Cassville, it sounds like that each one of the cities is going to be moving forward with actually coming up with their own project for their own opportunity zones. So I had to have that meeting. After that meeting took place, I'm now basically looking for only projects that are specific to Monett. So it would be effectively that, if you want to go back to the previous map, Mickey. So effectively what I am looking for is basically projects that would be taking place within this within this area that you see highlighted right here. I'm going, like I said, I'm going to try to get the census tracts expanded, but I need to work under the auspices and under the reality that it may only be in this area. So if you do know of things that would be public, institutional, or infrastructure related that are in this boundary that you would like to be considered as a potential project, please get with me. Because that's actually what I'm doing
Okay.
as of right now.
So for the application process, you don't need council action or?
No.
Okay.
But it would be something that would be able to be done offline, or
Okay.
You can come by my office if you have ideas. Yes?
So, I had researched, we'll now call it Opportunity Zone 1.0.
Right.
Quite a bit over the last few years. It was something that required governor approval. Was that the same for 2?
Yes. It will be the substantial rules governing how those are approved and the projects are
And
approved is
who.
going to be, yes.
Right, and where? So for Opportunity Zone 1.0, Monett was the only location within Barry or Lawrence County that had an Opportunity Zone. Unfortunately, because it was a 25-year
It was.
assignment, and unfortunately, nothing ever came from it.
It was never made use of.
Right. So another element of Opportunity Zone 1.0, I'm not sure, I'm going to ask, is it also available in 2.0, is where private individuals can make a financial investment into what I'm just going to call a REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. Excuse me, I have your frog. Whereby any monies that they invest for a period of time, usually 10 years or longer, we can have very sweet tax benefits. So in most cases, the tax rate for that investment is 0. So where I had done the research on this was if we were looking for a potential hotel project, this was even before both of you arrived in Monett, was as an enticement, as a benefit to a potential hotel developer and anyone else who wanted to invest in that project could participate in that because of this opportunity zone.
Right.
But that opportunity zone region was not expansive enough to include some areas that may have been beneficial for actual development.
Right.
So my question, that was a long setup for, does Opportunity Zone 2.0 have that same component? But given the new map right now, I find that any type of large-scale private development will probably not take place in that 2.0 zone.
It will be more restrictive.
Yeah.
To answer your question, the answer is yes. So the structure that you're talking about is the QOF, the Qualified Opportunity Fund.
Yeah.
That is still going to be in existence in Revision 2.0.
Okay.
However, we are now working with a smaller a smaller geography.
Yeah.
To your point, though, you're absolutely right. The previous geography that we were working with still actually did not include that area that we would consider to be TIF 3. So
That is
Cox
correct.
Health. So even in the old revision 1.0, there were still areas that it still would not have applied to. That being said, I'm still going to do as much due diligence as I can to find potentially opportunities where a QOF would still apply and be attractive to investors that are looking for that tax incentive.
Outside of Zone 2.0?
Yes, to answer, absolutely. So
Okay.
both outside of this and inside of it.
Okay.
But keeping in mind, as I had said previously, the understanding that expanding this geography is going to be difficult.
Okay.
I am going to try, but the understanding is that the higher likelihood is that we would not be able to include the other census tracts to restore our original opportunity zone geography, which means that I'm going to look at the whole city,
Yeah.
but mostly if I was to give you a chance of success,
Yeah.
I believe that more than likely it will have to be structured in the geography that you see before you.
Yeah, because it was disappointing not to
Sure.
see it also be inclusive of the Highway 60 corridor for
Yes.
that,
Yes.
for that component alone.
Yes.
Right, that QOF, whether it stretched out far beyond where we would love it to be or not, even the corridor of 1.0 should have been attractive enough.
Right.
But it just did not have any wind in its sail.
So I like to use this analogy. What effectively has occurred is with this new geography, what the LMI matrix is basically telling you is that Monett has gotten wealthier.
Yeah. and-
That's basically it at the end of the day.
Exactly.
The reason why it has shrunk is because the census tracts that used to apply have actually become so wealthy that they have been taken out of the matrix.
But that southern border is the railroad track,
It
right?
is.
Yes.
Okay, so what about the transload facility that we're talking to with
So to,
BNSF?
absolutely, that's a possibility.
Okay.
The only issue is that it is by census tract. You have to. It's either you can't actually you can't cut the census tract
Okay.
out. So in other words, you would to make the justification to expand the boundary, it has to include the whole census tract. You wouldn't be able to make a carve out just for a particular project like the transload facility. So the appeal process is for an entire census tract to be
I see what you're saying.
re-included.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
By exception. It's gotta be
Yeah,
part
so
of the
you
whole-
wouldn't be able to cut and chop and break out the census tract just so that you can include a project that's of interest to you.
Yeah, the track plans are, it's hard to see on the map, are they inside the current boundary or outside?
That facility, it's outside.
It's outside?
Yes, it would be roughly.
Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about the facility.
Okay.
I'm talking about where BNSF 10 years ago said they wanted to put a spur. And it is in that track.
So you'll have to show me that, Mickey, because
Okay,
I'm not familiar with
will,
that.
but-
I was
but-
thinking about the transload facility, which
No.
is south of that,
Yeah,
south
this-
of those tracks.
This is the one where
Okay.
the second open area that I showed you.
Okay.
But BNSF actually has a design plan for that area for a spur.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would tell you that if it is in that boundary,
it
it
is.
could potentially qualify.
Okay, yes, we'll get together and we'll look at that then.
Yeah, that
So
may be a
Doug-
factor in us moving
Yep.
down on site selection.
So dovetailing into this, MIDC, the Monett Industrial Development Corporation. And there's another MIDA, and I'm always confusing which
I
one.
know that they exist, I don't know much about them.
One is now dissolved.
Okay.
And I
That's-
believe
yeah,
it's the
I remember.
MIDA.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay. So the MIDC is the one that I believe was instrumental in getting the industrial park built.
Okay.
Okay. I was really hoping that 2.0 was going to include what we've referred to as the industrial, I refer to as the industrial park.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a lot of potential out there, and having an opportunity zone for that district would be ideal because of that QOF component.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be flippant here, but I see 2.0 and I say, so what?
Right.
I don't, it's discouraging.
I hear what you're saying. It is, because, as you said earlier, the corridor really is our growth.
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And it's not in here anymore, but I really do think this transload, we've got a lot of interest in that with
Sure.
our industry.
Yeah.
We could even look at some infrastructure projects in there. We just need to sit down with Dave and
Yeah.
Kevin and Skip. And
It may affect things in the future, but.
yeah, yeah.
Could the MIDC, if it is what I think it is, which I am going to call it a quasi-REIT,
Okay.
would it be able to take advantage of those QOFs?
I believe that they could, in fact, if they are already an existing kind of if they have an existing financial structure, depends on how they are structured, they in fact probably could even potentially serve as the QOF
I
in and of
would love
itself.
to resurrect, I mean, I know you and I
Yes.
have talked about it
Yep.
before, but I would love
Yep.
to see how it's structured.
Right.
What that article of incorporation looks
sure.
like and what they're
Yeah.
empowered to do, but use that as somewhat of an economic engine
Absolutely.
for investors to come in.
Yes.
Sure.
Right.
MIDC is helping us with the Lowe's Lane project.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yes, we want to partner with them. Darren Newbold is on the EDC representing that group. So, yes, we want to continue that dialogue and process there.
As I mentioned, I will be doing my best, and I am working with Jason Ray at SimCog on how best to make that appeal as convincing as possible. The issue is that, as I said before, you have to have a very compelling reason to basically go against what you're basically saying. You're right. It is a wealthier census tract now, but here are some specific reasons why it should the low to moderate income qualifier should still apply to it. So they have to be good reasons. I think with Jason Ray's help, we will have as much, I would say, professional assistance to make that argument as possible. I'm just basically saying, as a general rule, by the preponderance of the appeals, most of those appeals are denied. It has to be a very good reason.
I'm with you.
Yeah, that's all.
100%.
I'm trying to manage the expectations
Sure.
of whether or
No,
not
no,
this will happen.
I love your energy about it, but I am realistic to say that it's more like that.
Thank you.
I agree,
But-
it's not real, I'm sorry, go
That's
ahead.
okay. 1.0 does not sunset until 28, 29?
I'd have to
That's
look
what we
at-
talked, it's way out, it's out there, it's still out there.
Yeah. It's out there.
Yeah.
And there's an overlap.
Yes, that
period,
is correct.
Right?
Yes.
I would love to try to get something in under 1.0
I
for the QOF
Sure.
element alone. And I don't, because to your point, you're looking at the map of 2.0 and
Yep.
asking if that rail spur, for lack of a better term,
Yep.
would fall in. It certainly does. Yeah, it certainly does under 1.0 because
Yeah.
it is it's the county line and it's a rectangular box
Yeah,
and it's expansive.
yeah,
Much more than this. So
Yes.
there's certainly, pardon the word, opportunity
Yeah.
for us to try to get out.
absolutely.
And
it
get
is in
some-
his toolbox to use whenever he sits down with
It's a
these
big
sites.
arrow.
And
that river,
what I
for
will
sure.
need to do, and I will ask Jason this question as well as look at the parameters of the opportunity zone revision as well. I need to find out if such a project that is still existing within the 1.0 framework would be grandfathered.
Yeah.
And would be able to continue in perpetuity beyond the new revision, or if it would
Yeah.
have to sunset upon this going into effect. I don't know that answer right now, Ken, but I will look
Understand.
for it. I will look it up.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I'm trying to create some urgency.
Sure, understand.
Before 1.0 sunsets, now seeing what
Right.
2.0 looks like, and I've already said what I think about 2.0. I want to try to go after 1.0.
I will look into that. I would definitely say that I would foresee there could be an issue with obviously it getting before getting on the governor's desk, and he's like, why are we approving a new qualified opportunity fund for a project in a 1.0 revision that's going to be going away? And
Because it's good.
sure, absolutely, absolutely.
want
But to your point, absolutely. I'll look into the provisions and see if that's a possibility. We can't squeak something in under a
Sure.
deadline.
Yeah,
Sure.
Let me
there's
ask
no
you-
harm in asking, so thank
The
you.
northern boundary is Cleveland, is that because it's a different county?
I think it is, but the major It's a little bit confusing because most people don't look at their communities in terms of census tract. I don't know if it has anything to do with, sorry?
No, they don't.
Yeah, I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that that's actually the county line. What I will tell you is that the reason why this geography is shaped the way it is because it's shaped by census tract, not by any kind of other governmental line or geography demarcation. What you're looking at is the census tract.
Think of census tracts as the economic boundaries like the zip code is for mail delivery.
Yes,
So that's why banking, it's used primarily in banking
yes.
for mortgages and make sure redlining is not occurring and things like that.
Yeah, I think this, okay, understand, let's ask for more, probably plan on this. I don't think we're gonna be able to overcome that. This is also something, if we had the Berry County Alliance, this is something we could coordinate and make a much stronger case.
Right.
If
There
you
i-
get united input from a much larger area.
It is not in the presentation here, but there is an actual interactive map for the revision 2.0. And if you look at that map, especially to the east of us, Greene County, Christian County, I think it's, there are 3 counties that large portions of them have actually been designated LMI. And so for that Economic Development Alliance that's out there, they effectively have a huge swath from which to choose potential projects.
And we would have more voices in increasing areas.
Exactly. If we had a larger area, it would have been easier for us to work together with the other cities in Marion Lawrence.
That's one of
That was the 1.0. That is correct.
massive.
It is massive.
Yes.
What
Yes.
we have changed,
Yes.
wow.
Now, this is what, 25 years, so this 1.0 went into effect at least 20 years ago.
So about 25 years ago, and I have confirmed, I contacted the Missouri Department of Economic Development, and they confirmed to me that in that entire time, there was never an opportunity zone project that was made a use of for the revision 1.0. It effective never. It basically existed, and it was dormant for this entire time. So
I discovered it about 3 years
Sure,
ago, and as soon as I did, it was like wipe the eyes, make sure I'm believing what I'm
right,
seeing,
right.
and then I probably bugged dozens of people as to what is this, why didn't we, what could we had done?
Sure.
I mean, so many questions came out of it, and it just every time you lift a rock and you find something else and become disappointed. So.
Basically, effectively, southern Monett has gotten wealthier, is what this is telling us. It's gotten wealthy enough that it no longer qualifies.
And I get it. The federal government is trying to spread the opportunity. Sorry,
Sure,
it's a great
sure.
word.
Yeah.
But spread the opportunity
Sure.
where it's needed.
Sure.
And I understand that. And I'm somewhat being selfish, trying to be selfish.
All right, Doug, do what you can. We won't expect it.
We only got 2 weeks, right?
I will try to underpromise and overdeliver. We'll see.
Can't do any worse than we've already done.
Okay, anything else on Opportunity Zone Revision 2.0?
Have you used it in the past in other cities you were from?
I have, but the differences in other communities is that generally, very frequently, the QOF, the Qualified Opportunity Fund, is something that very frequently private individuals and law firms will they will work in tandem with government, but very often they're very familiar with this framework, and in some cases they just go and they do it, and then they'll come to a city or a county or an economic development alliance, and they'll say, can we get your assistance? We need your support in order to be able to put this together. But very frequently in other areas around the country, large law firms very frequently, they will just go off and they will say, this is an opportunity, by the way, this could save our clients a lot of money on taxes, and they will typically put together a structure. It is a legal structure.
It's through the Treasury Department.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's very, very similar to a legal structure like our TIF and things like that. It is a legal structure that is put together for the purpose of a tax incentive.
I've talked to 2 different hotel developers. One of them was aware, one of them was not. The one that I talked to, when they were not, they were very excited to
Yes.
hear that.
And this will be our guidance for 25 years, 2.0.
For probably the next, I would say next 1 or 2 decades.
I think it's 20.
20.
It's 20.
20.
There's an emerging organization, regional organization that partners with OREP. It's called LORE.
Okay.
Okay, it's private money, but they're kind of the component to OREP for this public-private relationship.
Okay. I think I've heard of that. I've heard that name.
Yeah, there's an annual conference. They're just getting started. There's an annual conference. You might want to go up there with it.
That's when I gave you
The July one?
no, it's this month.
Okay.
It's this one. I think we need to, Doug, I think we ought to go.
I'll get with you. I'll make
yeah,
sure
we've
I
talked
have,
about- but, yeah,
have
I'll
that
give
on my
you the
calendar,
date.
for sure.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
How's plan on doing that?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Very much.
All right, let's move on to council comments. Council? Comments?
I don't have any comments for anything, for anyone.
I have nothing.
All right, well, it was fun going to Jeff City. We'll talk more about that later, but nice job. Long day, late night, but
I do have one informational item.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we're moving off of council
Yeah, let's
comments.
go
Okay, I did want to let you know, so the competitive cycle for CDBG, that's Community Development Block Grant funding, finally, for demolition, that's part of the competitive cycle, will open on May 4th and it will close on July 31st. I do now finally have the guidelines. They made them available, as a matter of fact, this morning. So just for your information, we are pursuing a community development block grant for the competitive cycle for demolition for Monett, and we will be submitting an application between. We will definitely have an application in before the July 31st deadline.
Okay.
what do we expect to use that for?
So right now in the FY26 budget, my department specifically, and citywide, we have $40,000, and that is it for demolition. That would be at the purview of, for instance, the building board. With a demolition grant, we would be able to potentially pursue almost 10 times that amount of money. So potentially a CDBG block grant for $500,000 for both public and private demolition of those structures that need it. There are, I believe, some both public and private structures that are necessary, and it would effectively increase the budget to allow for that to be done. CDBG block, so Community Development Block Grant money, there's a general rule within economic development. It is funding that you can apply for and you generally can get if there is no other source of funding that is available to make it happen. For demolition specifically, and demolition as paid for by the city, that definitely qualifies. So,
What's on our short list for demolition?
The property at 10 Broadway, the old Black Kettle.
Yeah.
And then we bought parcel 81, that apartment complex on Central. Those two need to be demoed. And I
One
can't,
on Central.
yeah,
Little
there's,
brick one, right there, central down, I believe.
Done.
yeah, Central
I'm
and
sorry,
Dunn.
which,
It's that little brick triplex right there. Used to be the old ice cream shop, they told me way back. I don't know.
oh, even I'm not that old, but,
Central and
Me
Dunn.
either, but I mean, that's what everybody.
so it's on Central. Is it north of Dairy Queen?
No.
No,
Oh, no. It's down there in the central project
yeah,
area.
that's why we purchased it, was for the Central Avenue expansion.
Oh, yeah, I got you. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
just to, for clear, so it's very easy, obviously, if we're the property owner, the property, we own the property needing to be demoed, but I mentioned private property owners as well. There are private property owners that could potentially, as long as we have their cooperation, they have clear title, there's no issues with probate, all of these other kinds of things. But there are other property owners where if they have private property that they would like to be demoed, they can work with us to get that demoed as well using the CDBG funds. It's a little bit more complex because that's a private property owner, but if they are interested in making use of those funds, as long as it would have the approval of the city and the building board, which controls declarations of demolition, that could be done as well. $500,000 to take buildings to take down structures that's a significantly larger pot of money. It's a force multiplier in terms of what we could potentially do to certain structures.
Does it have expiration of use? Do those funds have to be used by a certain time or lose them?
I believe they do, but that would be part of the overall generally with CDBG funds, you usually can provide them with a timetable, and that's part of the grant management and closeout process. The most important provision with community development block grant is you really do have to prove to them that there isn't any other way to finance this. So when I was looking through the things that we could use CDBG funds for, I think that our highest and best chance of getting CDBG money is for the competitive demolition, the competitive cycle for demolition. Mickey and I discussed this, and the other good part is that I am working with Jason Ray and SimCog. They have a tremendous amount of experience in actually putting together CDBG competitive cycle grants, far more experience than I have. So between the right selection of the right thing to use the money for, and SimCog's help, I think we stand a very good chance of being able to get a block grant for this fiscal year.
Does CDBG allow for public use for recreational type projects?
There are, that would be in the tranche of what's called economic development, community, economic development and economic improvement funds. Just be aware, those are much more competitive.
Okay, so
And
here's an example, right? So at our North Park, our local ball league hosts softball tournaments, about 6 to 8 a year. They've been told by the USSSA softball organization that they would love to have Monett host state tournaments, which would be a lot larger. However, there's one condition. They need turf on at least all infields. Right now, we only have turf on 2 fields. Okay, one
I'm
being
sorry,
softball.
how many fields?
2.
So we need 2, we got 1, right?
No. We have 8 fields, well, 7 fields. 6 of them are softball use, which would fall under this tournament category. 1 is just baseball, so it's the high school baseball field. So the high school baseball field has turf, and the high school softball field has turf.
Okay.
If the remaining fields had turf, there's a pretty good chance that we could secure the USSSA state tournament, right? I was going to talk to you. I was going to have Lyra and I go and talk to you, and I forgot you had already gone to Jeff City that day. Excuse me. But we're talking about a $2 million endeavor to do those remaining fields.
Okay.
Additionally, the South Park could use new pickleball courts. The pickleball court conditions right now are not good. And knowing how much it took to do the North Park tennis court fields, we're probably looking at about $500,000 at minimum.
Yeah, and those we're looking at some other funding sources, the pickleball courts.
So those are 2 things that I wanted to talk to you about for potential grant seeking opportunities. No particular timeframes, but definitely have some motivation behind them, and not just, oh, it would be nice for us to have turf infields on our facilities.
Okay.
Is there, are there any potential partners that we could partner with? Because like the tennis courts, high school, and Kiwanis, and then pay.
The tennis courts was the city and the school district.
Yeah.
And the surf fields that we have in North Park right now was city, school, and private.
Yes, I understand. Is there a potential partner for pickleball courts?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant for all of this.
Yeah,
it will probably be private. I don't know if the United States Tennis Association does anything with pickleball. I don't know. The USTA was approached for the North Park project. The school district ended up getting a grant through one of the cell carriers,
right?
T-Mobile and the USTA partnered up for grants for so that helped with the lights. So that's where I would go to Doug and say, okay, go forth and seek whatever opportunities, but those 2 are very good, large potential outcomes from improvements.
As I said, it's a different tranche of money within the CDBG. They break it out into 8 different categories.
Yeah.
That would be under the economic development competitive cycle. Just be aware that those are far more competitive. The same rule applies generally across CDBG. The universal rule is that you stand a better chance of getting a CDBG grant if you can prove to them that there was no other source of funding that could have made that happen. As I said, it is more competitive. I'm not saying that we couldn't do it. The generally accepted rule, though, there's nothing that says you can't submit more than one CDBG grant application. However, as a general rule, they're only going to approve one.
Yeah, no, I get
Yeah,
that.
sure.
And that's, I was using that as a springboard for the conversations.
Yes.
So I helped write the grant for the North Park Lights,
Okay.
right? We got the grant through the Major League Baseball Tomorrow Fund.
Okay, fantastic.
While doing that research, I'd learned that there was an arm of the state of Missouri's Department of Natural Resources that had grant funds available for outdoor activities.
Yes.
Right. So it didn't define. That was at that time, because we're probably going back to the 2008 to 2010 time period. Economics weren't such that the state put a whole lot of money into the natural resources grant funds. Right? So that just fell aside. But going through Major League Baseball, I found that some teams also had, I'll say funding opportunities, but those they looked for more economically depressed areas, more rural areas that had no facilities.
Sure.
Not just improvements.
So just to get, I had to look it up because I can never remember what the acronym stands for. Department of Natural Resources in Missouri has something called an LWCF. That's
the one.
Land Water Conservation Fund. I have worked on those grants before. They are typically easier to get than CDBG money is for the things that you're talking about, because the LWCF funds really are for park improvements. But to answer your question, there may be, they're still the same project, but there actually may be a better pot of state funding that would be more applicable and we would have an easier time getting than CDBG money.
That's the exact fund. The
LWCF.
just wasn't funded back
Yes.
in
Question,
2009.
what is the cycle for all these grants? Is it an annual cycle?
So LWCF is annually, every year.
So are most of them like that?
Yeah.
Yes, so, and CDBG is the same way. It's just that, as I said, they have some grants, like for instance, disaster mitigation, that are not part of the competitive cycle. So there is environmental mitigation and disaster relief and recovery that are always ongoing because they're dependent upon disaster declarations. And then there is in CDBG the competitive cycle, the things that we're talking about, both in terms of economic development and demolition and these things. These are part of the competitive cycle that happens every fiscal year.
Well, what I really like is the culture is changing here. We're out there looking for opportunities. We got a plan in place, and we're going to be able to take. There's a lot of resources that we haven't been using in the past, and now we can. And I appreciate your work on that.
Thank you,
Mickey. Your work too. I know that you're working closely with Doug on it. So,
I've got a couple things that I want to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rip through them pretty quickly. The city annex is closed out now. You all budgeted at $137,000. The project came in at $135,000, so it was under budget, but it is closed out now. The Schreiber celebrated their 50th anniversary. Commissioner Indovina went Tuesday to the picnic. Appreciate representing the city and being there.
Very well.
Mayor's going to read a proclamation on the 14th of May celebrating Schreiber, and there will be Schreiber representatives there that evening.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but has Jack Henry reached out to us?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
this
okay.
week. This week, yeah. So we'll do the same kinds of things. Jeff City trip was very good. The Southwest Missouri Day. It was the first one that they had ever hosted. It was hosted by the 4 senators for this region. And we were able to spend, the delegation that went from the city, Mike, Doug, Mayor, myself, we spent some time with Senator Moon in private, which was really good, and his chief of staff. We met with Mitch Boggs as well, which was very productive. And then we were able to meet with Sherry Gallick. She's the chairman of the Economic Development Committee. She is scheduled, unless they go into another session, she's scheduled to be with us virtually at our next EDC meeting. So it was good to see her as well. The ribbon cutting at the playground, we're still waiting. Is that the first layer of ground covering, Dave? And then they put another layer in?
I just talked to Carlos this morning.
Okay.
It's gonna be finished Friday.
Okay, so Friday and then 72 hours to cure?
Yes, and we have to somehow have it scheduled to where we can have the fencing picked up before the 8th of May.
Okay.
Or we'll have to pick up the next month of rental on the fencing.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that done. So if we, 72 hours, so hopefully next week we can do a ribbon cutting. And we can open it up.
Has there been any discussion about doing solder on that?
I have not.
Okay.
Should we have that? I'm thinking we should have that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in all the other high visibility areas on major improvements, we did it at the casino, we did it at the pavilion.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, let me get with Larry and some others. So, but we're gonna coordinate a ribbon cutting for that playground with the YMCA, because they're gonna provide children to be there that day, and that's all being worked out. Freedom Silo should be finished up this week. They were working on it again this morning, so it should be completed. I spoke with the Monett Main Street president yesterday. The Public Works Department has a lot on their plate right now, so it's more than likely, and I'll share this with the full board next Tuesday night, the Monett Main Street board. We're looking at probably a September date before we can start on the dog park. So that's just everything that is on Public Works. They're doing this 9th and Kale project, which is huge. If you've not driven by there, you want to make sure you drive by there. Then they go into some other things that they got to do, and then chip and seal season is in there. So it's just, the time frame is just being
Citywide
pushed back.
cleanup?
Yeah, citywide cleanup. Yeah, that was my next point. Citywide cleanup. And then I was approached by Monett Cares, I don't know, a month ago or so, and they want to do projects around town, to do cleanup projects. So they have adopted the community garden that is down by the Justice Center. Last night they had their first work day. Whenever I was down there were about 15 to 20 people. I think some more people even came down. I want to give a shout out to our police department. They brought water over to them last night, so that was unsolicited, but they brought it over, and that's a really good thing. I do want to address the letter that was sent to council by Mr. Randall, Mike Randall, and because it by name mentions me in here, and so I want to address those issues. At the coffee with the mayor, I did make the statement to him that he was wrong about the CDB grants. So here is what took place. Mr. Randall is correct that SIMCOG was awarded 2 or 3 CDBG grants that they had worked on in the 2025 cycle. I was referencing that we as Monett, we are working on the 2026 cycle, which you just heard explained by Doug. So we were on different cycles. He's listed here those that were awarded, Crane and Kennett and Albany and some others. All of that is correct. I was referencing one cycle, he was referencing another cycle. But because it was sent to you all, I want to make sure that you heard that. Everything that we're receiving at the mayor's coffees, we're bringing it to council. If people are specifically telling us to bring it to you, that's why you were presented with the cave document and the naming of the overpass. So anything that's referenced to us, we're bringing that to you as council, and any actions that you want to take. That's all I have.
All right, a lot of good things happen.
Yeah.
Looking at the future, I really like that. Yeah. Ed, let's have any motions to go into a closed session.
Okay, well, motion. Thank you all for coming to closed session notice. We will convene in closed session pursuant to section 610.021 Missouri State Statute subsection 1, discuss legal matters. In attendance, please, city administrator and city clerk.
Yep.
Second.
All right. Call the roll?
Mayor Raineyberg,
Yes.
Commissioner King Gaspar,
Aye.
Commissioner Darren Andavina.
Aye.
If we can go back to the